full movie news slate today, guys. We are giving you some breaking news on Ben Affleck returning as Batman. We also have the AMC pushing back their release dates again. Jason Momoa playing Frosty the Snowman. Zachery Levi playing Kurt Warner. And lastly, the SAG Awards. Let's jump right into it. All right, guys, welcome to ReelTime News, where we give you all the greatest and latest of the updated movie news of the week. I am here joined again by Casey McKinney from Just Another Movie Show. How you doing today, sir, my friend?
I am doing well. Appreciate you having me back.
No, I love having you back. And like I said, we talk for if you guys don't listen to his podcast, listen to it. We always do great discussions on all the movie news and even just some of the movies. Just it's been kind of tough because there's not a lot going on right now, but if you ever check out his podcast, go check it out. It's really good. We always talk about good movie stuff, and also maybe in the future, like to get our friend Sean on as well.
You know, I'll throw out there. We just did on my other show, Just Another Football Show. We did a sports movie draft.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit of both worlds. We ended up doing 14 total per host, just drafting sports movies. So it was a really, really fun time. Go back and check that out. Just sort of get a feel for what we're doing.
And I'll link all of his stuff here in the description box below, guys. Check him out. Give him some love and support. Man, that just made me. I've been on a kick myself with sports movies since I'm missing all my sports. Like I watched Moneyball. I watched Remember the Titans. I've been watching all kinds of stuff.
Both movies drafted, so
yeah.
It was fun. It was really, really fun.
Yep. So let's move here in the movie news. We got some breaking news that came out just today. I saw, according to now. I will say this. I'm not taking this with a grain of salt because of where it's coming from. Because, I mean, I broke some news for B&B Theaters. Now we're a small movie news-related company. But also, I haven't seen anything from, like, Variety or Deadline reporting it. So if you want to take it with a grain of salt, you can. But I just wanted to talk about it. According to Cosmic Book News, Ben Affleck has actually signed on a contract with HBO Max. Now, This also will include him making some appearances in other movies, future movies, other than just Zack Snyder's Justice League movies. Now, they said, according to them, that they will be releasing, Warner Brothers and DC will be making this announcement at either Justice Con or DC Fandom, which will be more online and everything like that, just like all the other conventions that are going on this year, like Comic-Con. So they said that's when they'll be making this debut, but he came on to more films to go on in the future. This will not take away anything from Robert Pattinson's Batman or the reports that Michael Keaton will be coming as Batman as well for the Flash film. So it's going to be they're hoping. I guess what Warner Bros. Is going to announce, according to them, is that they're going to be promoting a more DC multiverse type of world, where Zack Snyder will still have his world on HBO, which will also include Ben Affleck getting back his reins to create his own Batman film. So that's kind of a lot going on there. What are your thoughts on this one, Casey? I mean, when I told you the news, you're just like, what did you say? Like,
I think I said gross. Yeah, I was a few beers in at the time, but I mean, man, is this just quantity over quality? Is that where we're at now? Like, we're just gonna throw four Batmen at the wall and see what sticks? Give me Michael Keaton. I'm down for some Michael Keaton. But I mean, the Robert Pattinson thing, we'll see. I'll give him his fair shake. Absolutely. I think Batman's done is the problem. We all saw Dark Knight. We all saw how that works. Mm-hmm. I don't need another one. We just leave it alone. But as far as this goes, I wasn't a huge fan of Ben Affleck as Batman. He wasn't terrible, but I haven't really enjoyed any of these DC movies.
None of them, really?
Not really.
Oh.
I know. I'm in the minority on. I know Wonder Woman was huge. Everyone loved that. I love Wonder Woman. I know. So it's. I don't. Maybe I'm not the right guy to ask about this, but I mean, HBO's doing stuff. I wish they'd get their app available on Roku and Fire Stick, but other than that, I mean, they're doing all the right things. And, if this helps get them some subscribers and it'll be out there for everyone to check out, absolutely, I'll watch it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I like the idea, and I like how they worded it, that future Zack Snyder Justice League film. So I was like, is he having more coming out that will include Darkseid more into it? I don't know.
we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, we'll see how this one goes.
I think that's their hesitant right there. They're just going to say, if this does really, really well for them and helps, absolutely. Why not give him the reins and let him do something else if he wants to? But I don't know that it's. I mean, the streaming model is very tough to figure out right now, especially with a subscription service. It's hard to track whether or not having the Snyder Cut on HBO Max is it really helping them or is it not? You can say that with anything. We got Disney, the talks of, Mulan being pushed back, and everybody says it should just be pushed out to Disney Plus. Is that going to get extra subscribers? Anyone going to go out and subscribe to Disney Plus just because it's there? I don't know. I can't speak to that. And that's the problem with the streaming thing right now.
Yeah. Side note here, you made me think of it. I found it funny that I've got a few friends that say they're getting Disney Plus just for Hamilton. That came out today.
And that's fair. I mean, how many? I'd like to see what the cancels looked like on Disney Plus after Mandalorian.
That's true.
I feel like a lot of people picked it up or waited until everything was out, did the free trial, hammered out Mandalorian, and canceled. So
true.
I mean, I'm no stranger to it. I signed up for Shudder just this past week to watch a single movie and canceled. So
did my wife did too. She actually watched everything they had and then decided to cancel it. She joke watched everything they had. She's a B horror
lot out there. Yeah, there's a lot out there. It was good, but not something I'm.
One last thing I want to talk about this is you said something earlier that was very interesting. You said how you talked about we've seen The Dark Knight, we have our Batman, we're good with it. So that's you, but it makes me wonder if more people out there feel the same because everyone knows how amazing The Dark Knight is. It's probably, if not the best, still to this day, probably the best comic book film of all time. So it makes you wonder: would Christopher Nolan do such a great job with Batman? Has it sort of ruined everything moving forward? Because ever since then, people have looked at Batman more scrutiny, especially when Ben Affleck came on. So it makes me just really wonder if that movie has almost, in a weird way, ruined Batman films in the future. Because we're going to get more Batman movies, no matter what. So I'm just curious what you think about that, and if that's going to be more the case, if more people feel the same.
I'll say when Ben Affleck signed on to do it originally, I said the exact same thing. Do we really need to do Batman again? I get we're working on Justice League and we're trying to do the copycat with the Marvel thing. I get it, but didn't really care. Now with the new stuff coming our way, I will say I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. I don't know. I'll watch it, and I guess ultimately that's what they want to happen. They want people to pay to see their movie, and I'll probably do that. We'll see. If it's bad, then I don't know that we'll continue watching them. I haven't watched a lot of the DC stuff in the theater. I waited until it was available on streaming, but I'm in the camp of we've got our Batman. Dark Knight was amazing. That entire trilogy, good to go. I don't need anything else. If we're going to do anything else with anything with that, let's just call Christopher Nolan back. Let's get Robin going. Let's go. That's as far as I'm concerned, it's done and good. But at the same time, I'm going to watch it. So, I mean, who's the joke on, I suppose?
I feel you there. If Christopher Nolan would come back, I'd watch this new Batman movie a heartbeat.
Please.
But I doubt that'll ever happen. No. He loves his new original content, especially with Tenet coming out if it gets good praise. But more importantly, guys, what do you guys think of Ben Affleck returning as Batman for future HBO Max? Jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Also, so far, if you like what we've given you, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can receive more of our various content in the future. So now, let's move on. We're not going to spend too much time on this because we did report on it last segment that apparently, with everything going on, and there's been a spike in cases due to the nasty virus going around, AMC, along with Regal and Cinemark, have pushed back their opening dates. According to NPR.org, that AMC has pushed back their opening date for all their, I think it was, if I believe right, 600 of their theaters will not be open at the end until July 30th now, pushing it back 2 weeks. Because for one, also, before this came out, we also got the news that Tenet and Mulan pushed back their release dates as well. Tenet will be released August 12th and Mulan August 21st. Man, so, well, the reason I wanted to cover this, because we're not going to spend too much time on this, but it makes me really wonder, if things continue to progress and get worse, are we just going to keep seeing these things getting pushed back?
Yes.
Because it makes me wonder that question, because from what I've seen on a day-to-day basis, cases just keep on spiking, especially in certain areas. Not everywhere across the country. There are certain states that are doing just fine, keeping steady or having lower cases. But this is a national franchise. And so it makes me wonder if eventually things are going to get pushed into a hole and just have to be released on VOD, or they have to make the decision not to open. Because, and I will say this, if this thing goes its way, I'm glad that Tenet is now the one to open theaters.
Tenet, we talked about this last time we did news. Yeah. I told you Mulan was going to jump back behind Tenet. Disney does not want to be that first company to test it. They've said it out loud. It's not a thing. Disney does not want to be the one that does it. Tenet wants to be that movie. Mm-hmm. So I think everyone's on the same page there. I was not surprised at all to see Mulan pushed back. And I mean, you're just looking at the domino effect. There's no reason for a theater chain to open if they don't have new movies. They all sort of just left B&B out to dry because, these guys open, ready to go, doing the right thing. They're open here, near me. I thought about going out. They were running Get Out last week. I was like, I'm going to go check it out. And now these guys got to fill another month before new releases start coming their way. That's a tough putt, and that may not be a great a business plan, unfortunately. But this is what you're going to see. These movies are going to keep jumping back. And my question to you is, if you have a movie scheduled for, I guess the next big ones really aren't until the end of the year. You're talking Thanksgiving, Christmas, and that's when my theater chain, my theater is talking about reopening, will be holiday season. Mm-hmm. Are you starting to get worried that Tenet's going to just keep bumping back and steal your audience? Are you considering moving back yourself? We've seen, I don't know how many movies are uber worried or trying to get Oscar consideration, but this window's been opened up. So if you've got a November release, you've got a couple months to play with. I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately you just sort of see everything shift down and Tenet ends up being like a Thanksgiving release. I hate to say it out loud, but man, I think that's where we're headed.
It's very possible. And I don't know if anybody really wants to mess with going up against Tenet, because in my brain, and anybody can jump in the comments and let me know, other than Tenet, the really big movie that's on people's minds, especially for cinephiles, is Dune. Yeah. And Dune is set to come out, I believe, in November. I think it's Christmas.
Is it?
Yeah, November or Christmas. It's one of those two. I don't have the exact date. I should have it pulled up here. But it just makes me wonder if it's getting pushed back, are they going to compete against one another? I don't know. It's a very interesting question, but I would say it worries me, but I will probably predict that if things keep getting worse, they're going to keep having to push back the release dates just to keep the public safe, and try and do the best to prevent anything from happening, from more things spreading within their theaters.
See, I don't peg Tenet as something that'll go to VOD. He wants that seen in theaters. I want to see that in a theater. Mulan, on the other hand,
I think
I could see them pushing it out to VOD for a few weeks. Maybe not mention that they're going to push it off to Disney Plus after 2 months, but put it out on VOD. It's got some good buzz. I just don't see a world where a lot of parents are taking their kids to theaters. To see this movie. It's nothing against Mulan. I just think it's got a lot more against it than Tenet does. Tenet is me, a single guy, going to a theater by myself. Like, I only have to worry about myself and keeping myself safe and doing that. Going to Mulan is taking my kid, taking my wife, keeping everyone. It's a totally different ball game. So I think Tenet is set up for better success in that rate. But eventually Disney's, and I don't know. Disney's not hurting that badly yet. Mm-hmm. They're hemorrhaging money pretty hard. But is this going to save it? I don't think so. So put it on the back burner and make it a January release. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that happen.
Very possible. All right, guys. What do you guys think? Jump in the comments. Let us know. Do you think AMC will keep pushing back their dates, or do you think they'll actually stick with this one and open on July 30th? Jump in comments and let us know. All right, now let's go ahead and move forward to the news I really want to talk about today, which I think is very interesting. According to
That's
Variety,
an understatement.
Yeah, an understatement for sure. According to Variety, Jason Momoa, Aquaman himself, will be playing Frosty in a hybrid live-action CGI Frosty the Snowman. On top of that, it will be produced by Jeff Johns and Stampede Company's Greg Silverman and John Berg. The person writing the film will be David I can't pronounce his last name. Barenbaum. There we go, Barenbaum. Which his most note screenplays are Elf and The Haunted Mansion. Elf's good, not so much The Haunted Mansion.
No.
Now, one of the other things I really liked was that the company who's going to be doing the animation for the Snowman character is Framestone UK, which their most notable stuff, which I'm glad to hear, is stuff like Detective Pikachu, Alita Battle Angel, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, and Christopher Robin. That's good. those are all great CG. That's a great CG company. They do some great work with those movies. So now, coming at you, Casey. What do you think about? Because I envision Jason Momoa has a very deep, strong voice, and he's very appealing as a human being. He's from our hometown. I love Jason Momoa. I love him as Aquaman. I loved him in...
He visits the town that I'm sitting in right now quite frequently. I wouldn't be surprised if he's here now.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not going to... So what I'm about to say is not taken away from him. I just... Even with his voice, I don't picture his voice as Frosty. I don't know. What about you?
No, I'm with you on this. You think Jason Momoa, you think, Aquaman, you think tattoos, you think...
Mm-hmm.
The big strong voice. I mean, even go back to Game of Thrones is where at first it was big on what he was doing, and this guy's going to turn around and play Frosty, a beloved children's character. I'm very interested, cautiously optimistic, because I think they could have some fun with it.
Yeah.
We've seen some weird voice acting stuff happen before that we questioned and then turned out to be okay, I'm sure. So. We'll see how it pans out, but man, that was not my first thought. You sent me that as a note, and I had to double check your math because I was like, that doesn't seem right at all. I agree with everything you said there off the top, but I'll give it a shot. Why not?
I mean, I'll still give it a shot, and I'm not saying he can't do comedy. There's some stuff he's done. I mean, have you seen that commercial he does where he kind of strips off his muscles?
I think it was a Super Bowl commercial. Yeah,
yeah, that was absolutely hilarious, and he can do comedy. When I envision Frosty, I just keep thinking of the animated where it's more high pitch, it's more, and it's got more of like, I guess, a friendly tone. I guess it's wrong. I mean, because he is a nice person, but you kind of get what I'm saying. You kind of get what I'm saying. It's much more softer, where his is his much more deeper toned voice. I don't know. It's I'm hoping for the best. I don't know I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but let's just see what happens.
It's interesting. I don't have high expectations or hopes, I suppose, but interested. So we'll just put it in the interested bucket and wait for a trailer, because that'll tell us a lot of what we need.
That's very true. Now, what do you guys think of Jason Momoa playing Frosty? Jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Now, let's move it on forward. We have, according again to Variety, this is a very interesting one. I'm really interested to get your take on this one. Zachery Levi, Shazam himself, will star as Kurt Warner in an American Underdog biopic about Kurt Warner. And this is going to be mainly focused around interviews in Kurt Warner's life, and also based on his memoir, which is called All Things Possible, My Story of Faith, Football, and the First Miracle Season. This film will be produced by Lionsgate and Kingdom Story, and it will be produced by John and Andrew Irwin, who most notably, they recently directed, if I want to get my names right, I Still Believe, which is a more faith-based film. So with that all being said, from what I gathered from the article, this will be more of a faith-based film because Kurt Warner is very religious, and nothing absolutely wrong with that. There is some religious-based films that are quite good, but for the most part, on a filmmaking standpoint, I always find them to fall short. So that's where I get my cautiousness from it. But I do like the idea of Zachery Levi playing Kurt Warner. He looks a lot like him if you put him side by side. And this could be a good story based about the character, or not the character, but the person Kurt Warner. I don't know. What do you think? You're the football guy. I mean, I love football too. I watch football, but you're really deep into this one. So what do you think?
It upsets me because I was on local radio here just last week. We were talking about different sports, different athletes that needed a biopic, and Kurt Warner's name didn't come up once.
Really?
Didn't think about it at all. And now that you sent that to me as a news story, and I looked at it, that 100% makes sense. That's it's a great story for a lot of people that probably don't know the full story. I was sixth grade tutored in math by Kurt Warner and other Iowa Barnstormer players. He
really?
played for the Iowa Barnstormers here, and the team would come in and do some tutoring and hanging out. So, you know, he was around when I was a young kid here in Des Moines, and watching him play football. His numbers retired up in the rafters here. I'm interested as to if any of that gets any play in this story. His arena ball before he went pro, because that's a big part of his story.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always goes with the, you know, went from bagging groceries to winning Super Bowls. You know, that's his point A to point B for him, which is crazy. It's an amazing story, and one that I'm surprised, frankly, hasn't happened already, but totally makes sense. And yeah, it's a great choice for actor. That he looks similar enough. Not that that's always the requirement, but I'm very interested, and I think this could be very, very good.
So do you think a couple questions? The first one I want to talk about is, for authentic purposes, do you think they will shoot in Des Moines and St. Louis? Or are they just going to do it in Hollywood where they make it look like the cities? I don't know. What do you think?
It'll boil down to where they can make it for the least amount of money. That's how it works now. So I wouldn't count on it. It would be fun for them to come in and maybe get some B-roll here. You know, the Barnstormers are back up in action now. They were on hiatus for, you know, a while there between the time that Kurt Warner played and the time his number was retired. But we didn't play this season, but no one really has. So there's that. But you know, it would be fun for them to come in and maybe get some B-roll, some Barnstormer footage here. Yeah. You know, he grew up here, so it'd be fun. But I don't know. We'll love to see. I'd love to see it happen. You know, I'd love to go down and see something like that. But I doubt it. I think it really just boils down to where they can get it made for the cheapest. They can fly in helmets. That's all they need.
Yeah, because I think the last film that was filmed in Iowa was Field of Dreams, maybe.
I mean, it's been a while. They tried. We had a tax thing for a while, and it really just went down the wrong way. Yeah. It didn't sit well. A lot of people taking advantage of it, and they decided not to do it. But, you know, states that can do that, you know, offer that tax haven for them to come make movies. It's a good spot, you know, and that's why you see a lot of things made in, I think, Atlanta right now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the couple down the south that's where a lot of things are filmed because they don't pay as much. Now, boils down to money, those budgets, man.
That's true. Now, a lot of things that we also talk about, like in the, you know, proverbial movie water cooler, is like, if a movie does great, would this happen? So let's do a scenario. We'll say this biopic about Kurt Warner succeeds and it's great. Sure. That then opens up the door, because, you know, when something's great and it's working, Hollywood jumps on it and they're like, hey, let's do more of these. What would you, as a football fan, want to see a biopic, not even just about a quarterback, but like what football characters or football people would you see made into a biopic?
See, the problem with the biopic is generally not enough time is given. Or, you know, I hate to say it because it's morbid as all get out, but when the person that the biopic is about is still around to have say, none of the negative light shines through. We saw, you know, we've seen this quite a few times. But, I mean, there are multiple moments in football. You know, Joe Montana comes to mind is a great, would be interesting to see some sort of a biopic there. But I don't know. I mean, you could do moments. Maybe some sort of like much better version of Draft Day. Not that Draft Day is a bad movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. But just taking on moments, I suppose, I think would probably be more interesting to me than an actual biopic. But I mean, the door's open, and if it were to do well, there's all kinds of things they could go with.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would necessarily want to see football related. I mean, there's so many out there. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Jerry Rice a biopic film. I think that would be really good. But on the side note, like, I think what every sports fan is really looking just to see the biopic of the Cubs winning the World Series. I think everyone's just ready for that. Yeah. I mean, if the left time has passed, and I think it could be, I mean, I think people are just itching for that one now. But I don't know.
It'll happen.
Yeah, it could happen. But most notably, guys, what do you guys think of Zachery Levi playing Kurt Warner? Leave your comments in the section below. And also, I'm curious, for some of you younger people who are football fans or even the casual, do you know who Kurt Warner is? Jump in the comments and let us know.
They're hitting that fast forward button. I don't know who this is.
I don't know. I don't know who that is. I don't care. Moving on to our last segment of the day. We're kind of pushing through these really well. Last segment of the day here, we've got the 2021 SAG Awards pushing back their release dates as well. Initially, they normally have their release dates in January. January 24th is their initial release dates. Now, it looks to see that they're going to be pushing back to March 14th, 2021. It's very interesting, and the nominations will be set to be announced on February 4th. They said here, in also according to the LA Times, that the eligibility period for the movies will be set from January 1st, 2020, February 28th through February 28th, 2021 to qualify for the acting awards. And then lastly, the submission window for these nominee considerations will be run from September 21st to November 20th. Very interesting timelines. I don't know why the eligibility is so far back, but that's their rules. And so now the reason I wanted to talk about this, because this begs the big question. With the Oscars pushing back their release dates, and now the SAGs officially announcing theirs, do we just assume that everyone else is going to follow suit and we're just going to see everything pushed back? I don't know. What do you think, Casey?
Yeah, I this has sort of been my assumption from the get-go. We need to sort of wait and see what some of these movie releases do. Mm-hmm. The big question for me is, does this help or hurt the early releases from this year? Because there are a handful of movies that I think should be in that conversation. And
which ones do you think?
First Cow, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Yeah.
Okay. And, those were February, March releases that generally a movie released that early sort of goes by the wayside. And by the time we're looking at Oscars again. So, I mean, does that really hurt? Or are we going to see movies that just get delayed far enough that there are less in the pool? So maybe it helps. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, I anticipate that all of these are just going to bump. My interest level is higher for what the plan is going forward. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to see this with everything from awards to sports, where if some of these seasons get pushed back, is it a permanent shift? Is it a smaller window next year? Are we running March to December next year? To get things back to normal. It's very interesting to me to see how this affects the future, not only the current time.
Yeah, that's true. And you bring up a good point earlier where you talk about the films that are being considered. Something I want to kind of touch up on there. You brought up how traditionally a lot of times movies in February and March are going to be put by the wayside because they're out so early, and this may even you think it may even be worse for it now because they're expanding their considerations.
Could be, yeah.
But let's think about this though. I mean, that is true, but a lot of the big time movies that do get the Oscar considerations are pushing back well beyond their consideration dates for the Oscars and for the SAGs. So, arguably speaking, don't we think that actually would open up the window more for these earlier ones?
And that's what I mean. I think it could make the pool smaller overall, mm-hmm. and maybe get some of these smaller films that aren't, because the other thing that really hurts these films is these film festivals being canceled, because that's where a lot of the buzz starts for these, coming out of a lot of these film festivals, and that's what jumpstarts them down the road to Oscar consideration, and they're not getting that. So they're relying on the general public to, learn about, see, and then tell other people about these small movies, and that's a tough putt for a lot of these really small movies.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. And then not only that, are they gonna, with these smaller movies trying to get consideration, are they gonna change their ways of, like, because you know how the Oscars, you have to campaign for it. Now, are they still going to be able to do that? Because still a lot of these smaller budget films don't have the money for that. But because the pool is already going to be small enough. Are they going to maybe lax those rules too, so they can at least get some movies in there? Or
those are so much rules, is unwritten rules. But the great equalizer that I feel like we've seen play out to good effect, one of the few things that we've seen is exactly what we're doing now, video chat. It really lets these smaller movies, smaller studios, if they don't have to get to a place or be in the right place to get interviewed. If they can sit down at home and talk to voters, talk to TV shows, talk to anybody and everybody to get their product out there and seen, in a world that's sort of starving for content, it really helps. And I think it is a big equalizer. There's no reason that someone on one of those small movies shouldn't be out talking to anybody who wants to right now, because all it requires is sitting down in front of your laptop and saying hi. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
I think it really will be helpful for them.
That's a fair point as well. So it's just very interesting times right now, and I am curious, like you said, if we do eventually get a vaccine, whenever we get a vaccine eventually, if this helps, stop this now, are we going to go back to normal, or is this going to be something they're going to continue on moving forward, especially with considerations and everything like that? Yeah. I'm just really curious. I find it very interesting that now we're just starting to see the dominoes start to fall, as you will. Like, I just have a feeling in the coming weeks we're going to be reporting on, the Golden Globes, the PGAs.
Here's the thing. A lot of these award shows, I think, are fine with having their award show virtually. Yeah. The Golden Globes, that's not what that is, man. The Golden Globes is people in a room having a party.
Yeah.
That I think is a different animal, different beast completely. I honestly would be willing to bet that a lot of these end up being done virtually. We don't have big parties. We're not. And I mean, and that's sad because, like I said, at this point, we're talking March, April next year for these things. And I don't know that I see a lot of people being willing still, and unless there's a vaccine, to go out in a big group like that. It's a big ask for some people. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen, but you kind of just have to make the awards, and you have to do it so that you can move on to the next ones. I think that a lot of these sports leagues can learn from this. You just maybe have to punt on what's going on now, and that way you're better prepared for the next one. NBA, NHL, I'm sorry, you should just call it a day and be ready to start again, hopefully at the end of the year, and run your regular season. I think that there's really no different here. You're still going to run your awards. I get bumping the dates and whatever, but if we start seeing a ceremony delayed, that's really tough to figure out what's happening next.
You make good points, and I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. I just know I have a firm feeling that once we do get a vaccine, things can return back to a form of normalcy. Yeah. So it's not like, because I think that's what we're waiting for. Yeah, I think that once that happens, we can see things start to happen again, get our stuff back, our sports, our award shows, our going to the movies, everything like that. I just need that little bit of patience, I think, is what's really there. Yep. But then again, at the same time, a lot of these places rely on that money. It's that dollar that keeps things alive.
And this is the big problem for a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of things are at fault, at halt. So, guys, that'll do us for today. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think of the SAG Awards announcement, and what did you think of all of our news overall? Jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Also, if you like what you watch, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can receive more of our various content in the future. Also, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Stardust. The links are in the description below, as always. Now, Casey, where can people find you at? We'll jump in the comments, but let them know where we can find you.
Find me over at Just Another Movie Show. We haven't done a whole lot recently. We're going to set something up. We're going to do something. We're going to do a top 5 list. We're going to we'll do something. We have to sit down and get it figured out. We'll have something coming out within the next month or so. Just Another Football Show. Like I said, we just did our sports movie draft, and until they tell us otherwise, we're starting team previews here in 2 weeks. We're getting ready for a regular season. So
there you go.
We go year round on the football show. We have some fun in the off season, but we're rolling into regular season until they tell us otherwise. So that's the plan.
Check them out, guys.
Facebook's where everything's at.
Yep, check them out, guys. His football stuff's great, and I love doing the podcast with him for Just Another Movie Show. Check them out. I guarantee you'll have a great time. But thank you guys so much again for watching. Again, I'm Josh Williams.
I'm Casey McKinney.
And thank you for keeping it real with Real Time.